Tomorrow, Google is throwing like its biggest press event of the year, but the whole tech industry is just staring at this massive empty space where Meta's newest AI model was supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. And meanwhile, you've got this supposedly smaller competitor quietly negotiating a valuation that, I mean, it literally rivals the GDP of a medium-sized country.
Welcome to today's deep dive. So our mission today is to unpack this whole escalating AI arms race using our latest stack of sources. We're tracking the real-time high-stakes maneuvering of Anthropic, Google, and Meta.
Right. Because if you were building a business, investing, or even just using the internet right now, this really matters. These companies aren't just, launching software updates anymore. They're laying down the new foundational infrastructure of the global web.
And the sheer scale of this infrastructure shift is perfectly captured by this wild anomaly in our financial data regarding Anthropic.
Oh, it is staggering. They are currently negotiating an investment round that would peg their valuation at an unbelievable $900 billion.
Wait, 900 billion. That is, it's insane. And looking at the data, it tells me investors see something fundamental in Anthropic's tech that the legacy giants just do not possess.
Yeah, totally. The sources indicate this valuation isn't built on, like, hype over daily active users. It really comes down to a structural advantage in their architecture.
Okay, so what does that actually mean for the tech?
Well, investors are betting heavily on Anthropic's specific approach to processing efficiency. So instead of brute forcing massive amounts of data through giant data centers, which is what the legacy players do.
Right, like the Google approach.
Exactly. Anthropic's architecture allows them to process complex prompts with significantly less computational friction and memory overhead.
So it's less about building a bigger engine and more about, I don't know, discovering a new law of aerodynamics, like making the plane twice as fast with half the fuel.
That is a perfect way to put it. And that completely upends the sheer compute advantage that companies like Google have relied on for decades.
Which forces a massive defensive pivot from the old guard.
Totally. With Anthropic proving that efficiency can basically outscale brute force, Google goes into tomorrow's I/O event under intense pressure.
Oh, no kidding. They have to prove to the market that their legacy infrastructure can still dominate this new paradigm.
Right, which actually perfectly explains the total vacuum over at Meta right now.
Yes. So according to the intel in our sources, Meta has a highly powerful, unreleased model. It's codenamed Project Avocado.
Project Avocado. I love the code name.
Right. It's great. It was
Yeah.
slated for a May release, but the launch has just vanished from the schedule, specifically to avoid colliding with Google's I/O announcements tomorrow.
Which is wild. I mean, delaying a major launch just to dodge a competitor's press cycle, it creates a dangerous vacuum in the market.
Wait, isn't it just smart PR, though?
Well, Meta isn't just competing with Google or Anthropic. The intelligence highlights that Chinese AI competitors are advancing so rapidly, they're iterating and deploying every single week.
See, I have to push back on Meta's internal logic here. Because if Project Avocado is genuinely as powerful as the leaks suggest, dropping it right before I/O would completely hijack Google's news cycle.
You'd think so, yeah.
Sitting on it just seems like they are handing deployment momentum over to those overseas competitors just to, manage their domestic PR.
It really highlights the terrifying pace of this market. Like, every week a model sits unreleased, its underlying architecture depreciates in value.
Wow.
Meta might be trying to protect their media narrative, sure, but in doing so, they are sacrificing critical real-world testing time against international competitors who, honestly, do not wait for optimal press conditions.
So it basically means the digital infrastructure you and I will rely on next year is being decided by who blinks first this week.
Exactly. And that leaves us with a critical, unaddressed variable to think about.
Okay, what's that?
Well, if models like Project Avocado require this much strategic maneuvering and capital just to exist in secret, consider the physical energy toll.
Oh, right. The power grid.
Yeah. When these hyper-advanced systems finally deploy to billions of smartphones, the sheer electrical grid demands could trigger an entirely new crisis in global energy infrastructure that nobody's budgeting for yet.
Wow. Suddenly the digital arms race has very physical consequences. Tomorrow we're back with everything that happened at Google I/O, the good, the bad, and whatever they tried to hide. Subscribe so you don't miss it. This is Busy Weekly.